It's the second half of a home-and-home with the East Division on the line as the Argos head to Montreal this Friday. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Keys to the Game. Sean Bowe and Mike Hogan here at Lamport Stadium. A little bit cooler today, which is nice. You're not having to wipe me down from the sweat. I kind of feel like I look a lot better. Last week was rough.
Yeah, you looked rough.
It was rough, but that's
You're
why.
no piece of art right now, but
No,
last week.
I know. All right, Hoagie, let's dive into Friday's matchup. Toronto, Montreal, second half of a back-to-back, second half of a home-and-home. Double Blue clinch a playoff spot last Friday. Last Saturday. This Friday, an opportunity to clinch the East Division. I mean, this is... At some point,
on September 15th.
I know, this is kind of getting funny at this point. I mean, just how well this team has been playing, how well this team is constructed. But, I mean, Friday night's going to be a fun one to watch in Montreal, especially you think about against an Alouettes team who's probably frothing at the mouth trying to get some revenge against this team, too.
And last week you got a little chippy as well. So that's a carryover playing, a team back-to-back. Sometimes you see that carryover. Sometimes that carryover gets over-exaggerated a little bit. But we'll certainly find out. But, yeah, it's, you want to do the check marks.
Yeah.
Check mark 1, make the playoffs. Doink! Number 2, clinch a home berth. They can do that with the win. Or if they lose this week and Hamilton loses to Winnipeg, they still get the home field advantage for the first round of the playoffs. But if they beat Montreal, they can win the East and checky right there. So that's a big thing. So it's still an early season game since we're just past the midway point, but it's a really vital game because you can put them in the rearview mirror and then start massaging your roster the way that you want.
Just crazy to think, 150th anniversary of this team, and I mean, let's knock on wood right now, but I don't think you could write a script better than the way that this season is playing out, especially for how much more we have to look forward to, especially on October the 6th, our 150th anniversary game. You got some news today. We're not going to share it, but
another addition to the lineup.
Another addition to the lineup will be down there for pregame, and it should be a blast on October the 6th as we take on the Elks that evening. Sticking with Friday's game, let's talk about number 14, Boris Bede. Unfortunately, an injury to Hags. His status still unknown for the remainder of the season, but encouraging that he's still here at practice, hanging out with the crew. But Boris having to do it all, and that includes punting and kicking. We haven't seen that since 2021, and he was phenomenal last Saturday against Montreal, including stopping a touchdown too, getting on his horse, which he was promoting on social media throughout the course of the week. So good on Boris, and I know you wanted to touch on him and just what he means to this team.
Yeah, he's been dynamite, and I still can't believe he caught Chandler Worthy, who's one of the fastest guys in the league.
No kidding.
And I'll be honest, on the broadcast with Ben Grant, I said, well, he's gone. Because I just saw 14 trying to catch him.
My guy.
I do, but I don't have that much faith. I don't know. I still don't know how he did it, but it was remarkable and just shows the effort that everybody on this team is putting forth on every play. And Boris has maintained his outstanding field goal kicking. He had 4 more last week. His extra points have been bang on. His kickoffs are still 5 yards better than anybody else in the league.
He's at a plus 90% percentile too as well, right? I mean, he's
still over 90,
especially after last year too, where he did struggle at points. This year has been kind of a resurgence for him.
Right, and right now his kickoff average is second all time.
Yeah.
His career average is first all time. His season this year is second all time single season, chasing his own record. He's got the top 5 already in terms of kickoff average, so we know he's got the leg strength, but it's his punting, and his punting's been really good.
Yeah.
And right now, he's averaging 5 yards per punt more than his career average this year. In the limited time he's been in, his net is 2 yards better than his career average. So, Boris has been doing it all, and Haggard would be a great addition to the lineup once he gets back.
Yep.
But boy, if you ever needed somebody to mind the house while you were on vacation, Boris is the guy to do it. And sometimes I think it gets lost because we expect really good things out of Bede, and he's been fantastic.
I think the one thing that people also don't see is that, Hags is also the placeholder as well. He didn't play last week. So shout out David Unger III as well for coming in and stepping up and doing a job that's really unsung and not a lot of people understand how to do it. But hey, Boris was lights out last week. Last thing, the offensive line. This is becoming a crazy stat.
Yeah.
Just 10 sacks on the season so far for Toronto. Chad Kelly, you were saying, has not been sacked since we were out in Halifax, and this team hasn't allowed a sack since we were in Calgary, and that was Cam Dukes.
Yeah.
This is getting insane here at this point, just how well this offensive line is playing. And shout out Coach Chris Sweet.
Absolutely. It's been 4 games now since they've given up a sack, and in that 4-game interim, they have 15 sacks.
Yeah.
So they're plus 15, which is stupid, but they've been that good. And not only have they been good in pass protection, great in pass protection, but they've been blowing open holes. And the toughest thing to do in football is to run the football effectively when the other team knows you're going to run the football. And the Argos have been able to do that. Sometimes it's the holes, sometimes it's the backs. We know A.J. Ouellette can turn a 3-yard run into a 9-yard run. I don't know what that thing Andrew Harris did last week was, where he carried 5 guys for 4 yards.
That's called brute strength.
That was ridiculous. But the offensive line certainly has been spectacular this year.
Yes.
So shout out to all of them, not just the 5 guys who usually start, but we've seen, I think, 9 guys get through there this year so far.
Oh, totally.
It's been fantastic. And
not to mention the injuries that they've dealt with as well throughout the course of the season, right? So
Bledek hasn't dressed yet.
Yes, exactly.
So it's been a great group. I'm glad you mentioned Coach Sweet, because he's done a fantastic job. And, man, it's just been a joy to watch. But 15-0 in sacks in the last 4 games. The 2 against Calgary, as you mentioned, which was week 9, were against Cameron. And then, like you mentioned, touchdown Atlantic was the last time that somebody got to Chad, and it was Pete Robertson. So it's been a while since Chad Kelly has been on the ground taking a loss in a passing situation.
It is funny if you're a fan who comes down to Lamport here and you watch practice. I think Coach Sweet might be the most vocal coach out on this field. I don't know how that man has a voice throughout the course of the week, just the amount of yelling and coaching that he does.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't break it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly. Well, it all goes down Friday night in Montreal, 7 p.m. on TSN. And of course, if you are driving or can't catch the game, our lead man here, along with Ben Grant, has the call on TSN 1050, all beginning at 7 p.m. An opportunity to clinch the East Division. So you won't want to miss this one, and we will see you guys next week back at home as we take on the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the 23rd of September.